thought, what if Jet is the emperor? And then once he's cursed and turns into terracotta, I make Jet a terracotta CG character who talks and walks and acts like Jet, but he's made out of baked clay.
One of the things that's really exciting about the concept of his character is that he becomes a terracotta warrior. And that creates a lot of complications and difficulties in bringing that character to life.
This is all cutting edge animation and composite work and working with my favorite two houses, Digital Domain and Rhythm and Hues.
You raised the bar, I guess, in trying to make the most photoreal mummy movie so far.
We have what I'm calling a liquid solid in the terracotta emperor and the terracotta warriors. If it was clay, they're gonna crack, but they have to move. So they crack and they reform.
This whole notion that Rob Cohen had of a liquid solid, that was a route that required some analysis and software being used in a design way that hadn't been done before.
It's a preliminary test of what Jet Li's face might look like when he's a terracotta emperor. The main goal is to keep his face looking like it's a terracotta statue and not a flexible, elastic human face.
It's not makeup, it's actually a three-dimensional thing. And the way we move it is by very, very complex measurements of Jet's actual face acting this part.
Jagat ka tukala hidayasyas made. Dosante gambira.
In reading the script, when Jet Li gets cursed to stone, I saw this as sort of an extraction of life out of him sort of dehydrating and weathering, and went along a thought process of how we would do that. Rob wanted him to literally exude a liquid terracotta. So mud-like terracotta oozes out of every pore, every crack, crevice in his body. First of all, from his eyes, so he looks at this thing and what's this stuff? He's not sure what's going on, he runs into the room and it starts to pour out of his eyes, pour out of his nose. He vomits this thing. It's an unpleasant procedure. It starts to fall out of his hairline, down his top knot. So as mud pours out of every surface, it starts to take on the shape, the form of his soon-to-be terracotta body.
So this is an earlier test that Dennis did, who was our puke man on the show. It took us a while to get here because it's hard to actually get the fluid to bounce correctly. So this is actually a bunch of fluid sims where we shoot stuff out of his mouth. We shoot an extra bounce on his hand just to get some kind of cool interaction and break up on it. We were all sitting in meetings discussing vomit and how it bounced and acting it out, and more than one time we all realized that we actually get paid to talk about vomit. Doing
Liquid simulations is a hard thing, as people are hopefully are aware, but to connect it with a continuously deforming and changing object, i.e. Jet Li in this case, that's really tricky.
So once he gets totally covered in the mud, then the spiritual torches ignite. As Rob initially described it as 100 acetylene torches all over his body that bake him alive, turn the clay into terracotta. So it's a very painful scene.
So he gets cursed in the previous shots, and he ends up being totally covered in mud, or terracotta mud. And in the curse, there's also a baking moment. So there's a few shots of him being lit on a magical fire of some sort. Joel Hynek shot a lot of reference for us, like burning stuff, shooting different torches. No one really knew what the end result was going to be until we started getting closer to it.
Today we are capturing Jet Li in 3 ways. We're capturing him cyber scan, his 3D form. We're capturing his facial animation, which is everything he's going to say while he's terracotta. So we just did it in a way that captured beautifully through image metrics the subtle actions of his face. And then we also did a calibration run where we made him do every extreme thing he could do with his face, up, down, all around, lips, nose, flare, everything. So we can calibrate our rig for his range of motion. This will make him come alive, whether he's terracotta or whether he's, in the flesh.
First, we, just made a terracotta form that was exactly Jet Li. It was, based on his cyber scan, and it just didn't look that good. And something Rob really wanted to get across was that each one of those terracotta soldiers, you know, the way they stylized their form, you really felt you knew who it was. They were that individualized. They were that distinct. And so we had to do the same thing with Jet. You had to know it was Jet, but still stylize it in the fashion of all those terracotta soldiers.
So this is the first shot. We pretty much started development of the face cracking. And that also went through a couple of stages. We started out with actually breaking the face as he talked and revealing pretty large cracks in his face with a pretty thick depth. And the more we worked on that, the more it occurred to us that it was kind of distracting. Like, we lost a lot of Jet's performance because you just saw these big gaps opening up in the face and you didn't really get any of the facial animation. Rob decided to go back to kind of a hybrid version where his rock face kind of deforms, but it still breaks and chips. So here you can see as he moves, cracks appear on the face, and as he moves more, they crack to a finer level, and then they seal back with this glowy magma effect.
Jet Li embodies several different computer-generated characters. He has been doing all types of motion capture and facial capture that will be used in driving the performance of these creatures. So even when it's not Jet Li the person, it's still Jet Li the spirit. And I think that the audience will find it very visually compelling.
I'm looking forward to really seeing how it all flows together, and what is the most exciting part, I guess, what really gets me. I've always loved, you know, seeing a movie for the first time when it's been released and sort of have my own little meter going to see what of the work that we did, what sort of is the most effective. And that's sort of, I think, what drives us, actually.
It's a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's just fun. It's the sort of movie I like to go and see and just be entertained. I mean, you've got Rick O'Connell fighting very realistically with these terracotta warriors. That's kind of cool, and it's comical, so it's entertaining. And I think that most people who go see a mummy movie want to have that sort of entertainment.
Three-headed dragons, Yeti, you know, foo dogs come to life, 2,000-year-old warriors fighting terracotta army, big stuff.